and welcome back to another episode of Horror Stash. We got a good one for you today, and I'm happy to be here again with my good friend Hunter, the Hitman Chambliss. What's up, man?
How's it going, everybody? Yes, we are pulling out of the stash tonight 2024's The First Omen. Another continuation of our 2024 horror movies. We're trying to keep them up to date as much as possible. This is directed by Akasha Stevenson. I believe that's how you say her first name.
That's our first. This is our movie for the week. The First Omen. I hadn't really seen a lot from it. I don't really like, I'm not a big trailers guy. I know what I want to see. If I want to see it, if I want to see it, if I don't want to see it. But I was interested in this. I was a little skeptical, having heard how kind of bad the Exorcism Believer was.
Exorcist Believer is it's a very divisive film.
So it's one I was a little worried about coming into this one. Especially having not seen any of the Omens. I'm completely blank on my knowledge, except pop culture or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to the story, but this one. I'll say out of the two that I watched, it's not my favorite of the two, but there are some genuinely creepy moments, creepy shots, creepy moments in this movie. And the actress,
Neil Tiger Free.
Neil Tiger Free, yeah, she was great. Her physical acting in this film was amazing. Other than that, man, I had no. This is a good horror movie. I enjoyed it. I had fun. Would I watch it again? Maybe. Spoiler alert, because the spoilers are coming later. They're clearly setting up a sequel, so we'll see how that goes. But I enjoyed the film. I had fun with it.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I'm finding out that I really love religion-based horror films and the way that they are set in this kind of messing around with the idea of devils and gods and using religion as the background of evil forces. I think I really enjoy that. And this one is trying to tie into a 5-movie franchise already, but it ties it in very well to where I have seen The Omen, the original one. I love it. I want to watch this one again and then watch the original Omen and see if I can see any direct tie-in connections.
I think I'm with you. I'm kind of becoming a fan of, or realizing that I'm a fan of those religious horror films. I like when things can challenge. I'm a big challenger of things, and so of religion and stuff. So I like a film that is willing to challenge that and put a nice little spin on, a cool spin on it. As you said, because this being a part in a series, this one does a good job. It does fine. It does something where I'm like, I didn't regret watching that film. And there's a film that we've done on this show where I regret watching.
At least one. But
this is not one.
I love Neil Tiger Free. I think she's a great lead actress. I was so impressed with Ralph Emerson. I believe that's how you say his last name. If you guys don't know who that is, he played the father in 2016's The Witch. He is also playing Galactus in 2025's The Fantastic Four.
Yeah, so I love him. I love The Witch. So I as soon as I saw him immediately, I was watching with my girlfriend. She didn't recognize him, but I knew that was because I love The Witch. And he's great in The Witch.
Yeah, The Witch is so good.
His voice is
which is why I'm so excited for him to play Galactus in the Fantastic Four. That voice is going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, so if you guys are ready, let's get into the spoiler part of this. So, Alec, you want to go through the plot summary real quick, and then we'll just talk about the movie as a whole.
All right, let's get into the spoilers. The plot synopsis. I mean, the plot. Deep into it. This movie, the way it starts, we get Ralph Ineson's. Ralph Ineson's Father Brennan. Father Brennan, and he's with. I recognize him immediately. Charles Dance, Mr. Tywin Lannister himself.
Yep.
and he's pressing Father Harris about a conspiracy. Clearly bothered. He's real freaked out, and you knew something was coming. Like it's something like a church. I was getting Hot Fuzz vibes.
Yes.
What happened? Because I was like, oh, something's about to fall on this guy's head.
Yeah.
And I'm actually I was kind of surprised by what it was. It being a pole, and it comes down, and it doesn't. You don't see the impact, but you just kind of see it came behind his head, and you hear.
It was the piece of glass, right, that cut him?
No, it was like a pipe.
I thought the pipe fell into the glass, and the glass cut his head.
No, it was the pipe because he has that curved indentation whenever he or when he turns around, and we finally get to see what it is. A little less blood than I was expecting. I was like something like that. I was expecting a lot of blood, but that was you see the clear brain. This
movie actually has a lot of interesting gore effects, which I love. It seems like it's practical with just a little bit of CG.
We'll get to one that's that's but so we get Father Harris walking away, and Father Harris, he turns around, and we see the piece of his head that's missing. Great effect, really well done, and Charles Dance was as Charles Dance. I'll never love a performance from Charles Dance, even though it's very small. So then it cuts. We're in Rome, it's 1970 in Rome, and there's a bunch of protesters. This is taking place, I believe, in France, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think this is France. There's protests. Is it really shown what the protests are? I don't really. Did they ever say, or is it just?
I don't think they say. I think it's just a backdrop of this protest.
They're serious enough to where they watch what they're doing, and we have to be careful. They are getting dangerous and violent. And we get our American Dino. I guess she's new. She's becoming a nun.
I'm sorry. This takes place in Italy.
Oh, in Italy. Okay. So it's probably okay, that makes more sense. So Margaret is an American. She's coming over to Italy to work in I think it's called the Vizardelli. Yeah. So they're taking care of young children that are homeless. I mean, not homeless, orphaned, which is sad. So she's meeting with Cardinal Lawrence. So we're meeting Cardinal Lawrence, Father Gabriel, Abbess Sister Silva,
Sister Sylvia,
and Nun Angelica and her roommate, who's also becoming a nun, Luce. Luce is kind of free because everyone else that we're meeting at this time is very proper, it feels like a nunnery. Everyone takes everything very seriously. So she's kind of feeling a little to the side, meets someone who's about her age, and it's this girl Luce, and she's a little more fun. She wants to go out. She's still kind of going out and stuff.
Going out to a disco.
Yeah, and so she invites Margaret out to the disco with her. And here, Margaret, who's Luce, is clearly more outgoing and more free, I guess.
Free, yeah.
And Margaret is a little more shy. She goes out and she dances with a man named Paolo. And then and they are drinking. I believe they're having a decent amount of drinks. And she's dancing with Paolo, and she ends up blacking out. And I think this is the first shot where I was like, oh, that's a creepy shot, is when she first wakes up in the next morning, and the way she's placed, she's
on the floor. Her hair is standing up. It looks like.
Yeah, like I think the way that
Mhm.
my girlfriend described it was it looks very like spider-esque and
Yeah.
very put there for a certain reason, and
Mhm.
it's forget. I think to me that's the first like kind of disturbing shot where I'm like, oh shit, like that.
This whole disco scene I think was shot really well. I
Yes.
love how it's kind of chaotic compared to the neutral setting of the church and the orphanage.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then you get the dark side, the kind of the nightclub scene. You got all the lights, the music, the drinks, and it's kind of a culture shock
Yeah.
for someone who is not like that to experience the nightlife scene.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. And the way it's shot, the flashing light, the strobe lights,
Hmm.
how everything's kind of everything's going in slow motion, and yeah, you get the sense that it's leading somewhere, and then it's starting to black out, and then it cuts, and that's when it's a very quick
Hmm.
cut to her laying down in the bed.
Yeah, I love the moment where, because throughout the night, she is someone who is timid and kind of reserved to herself. Then she meets Paulo. She
Mhm.
starts opening up, and then when Paulo invites her to dance, she takes off the jacket or the dress that she was wearing and is in like a sexy outfit, saying that she's finally opening up to the night scene.
Yeah, and the way that like that happens with Paolo is like it's very like awkward at first, but then they start
Mm.
talking and kind of start like bonding.
As it always is.
Yeah, and they started bonding, and clearly had like they clearly had some kind of connection. And
Mm.
then you go into the scene where they're dancing and all that stuff, and getting closer and all that. And then it's the cut. To me, it's the cut and it's the face that she has that really freaks you out. But she wakes up. She asked Luce like if it happened. I think, or she asked her something, and Luce is kind of like, oh, like I brought you back. Like
Yeah, she asked if she did anything embarrassing.
yeah, that's right. And she told her she didn't.
Mm.
So and then you're like, okay, like you get a little kind of like kind of getting a little. I think I was a little bit like not trustworthy of Luce, but I think the scene I kind of
I
uh
think that's the point.
yeah, and yeah, we'll get to the reveal. All right, we wake up. So she wakes up the next day. She has that look on her face, but kind of get they kind of just like brush like she's got a hangover. She's waking up drunk. So you're like, oh, hey, we've all been there. We definitely
Mm-hmm.
all been there. So she gets up.
Yep.
She goes about her day, and that's when we first come across the this orphan Carlita, who was kind of known as like being a problem child.
Mm.
Uh,
They put her in the bad room, which I find very interesting.
yes, they keep putting her in the bad room. And so we find out that Carlitos has visions. Father Brennan says that evil things happen around her. Uh, Margaret sees Carlita showing Angelica a drawing of a pregnant woman being restrained, and then shortly after that, Angelica. This one is so this is the feel. This is the scene that I know from the original Omen.
Yep,
Is
it's all for you.
yeah, she goes up to the top of the building. She proclaims it's all for you, and there it goes. She jumps,
What
hangs.
I love is that they take that scene and they add something to it. So she sets herself on fire,
Yeah,
then she jumps and hangs herself.
yeah, way more vicious, and
Hmm.
I think it works as like a homage to the scene to the
Oh
original
yeah.
woman. I think it works completely. Yeah, so that was and that was one more. I was like, oh, I leaned over. I was like, that's from the first one. So everyone, you get that moment from this.
Hmm.
Um, After that, Brennan explains that this is where he kind of get into the meat of the story. He says that there are some radicals and they're trying to basically that because people are starting to not believe, they are coming up with a plan to drive people to Christianity, drive people to.
I fucking love this story, man, because a lot of people are not going to church and not believing in God. They are now trying to bring back the Antichrist to where
Yeah.
people will then start believing.
Yeah, and I think
It's saying, which I may be looking too much in this, that the church are using fear tactics to drive people back to churches, which have been a thing. People have used
yeah.
fear mongering and fears and things like that to drive other people into church.
Well, yeah, and like for those who are Catholic or have ever like grown up around people that are Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
Catholicism is very much Old Testament. It's all about the fear of God type of thing.
Yep.
Whereas like New Christianity is more God is love. But I mean, like but old school Catholics genuinely believe in that you should fear
Mm-hmm.
God, and that God is a vengeful God who will
Smite
do
you.
things, and so that's where that belief you could see the radical like how radical Catholics could come
Mm-hmm.
to this conclusion. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility. I actually don't have a problem with the story. I think a good part of it was just like kind of I don't know how to explain it. It was just kind of like not as entertaining for me. The story like
That's fair.
it was more like okay like it's a little bit of a stretch of like it will be this deep where they're creating, but at the same time, it's an interesting idea of
Mm-hmm.
the church is the one or the ones who are creating the Antichrist. Because I don't remember what it is in the original, but I assume it's not the church that's creating the Antichrist.
No, because in the original, Damien, I think, he's like 8 or 9, I
Yeah,
think,
right.
and
So
it's all about him starting to realize that creepy things are happening around him, and it's him starting to realize, oh, I may be something different.
yeah, I may be the
Yeah.
yeah, okay. That's cool. I think that sounds more like interesting to me than this does. But this is a cool story. It's definitely different. I never thought of that.
See, I think I prefer this story over the story of the original. I like the idea that because people are driving themselves away from the church has to go to such extremes to bring people back.
Yeah. So yeah, he's telling Margaret all this that they're trying to bring the Antichrist to create fear, bring people back to the church, and that he tells her that Carlita is supposed to be the mother of this Antichrist. And then so the next day we're cut to a field trip. I'm not really sure where they're at, but they're in a field trip, and a riot ends up breaking out. And this is the first time that she sees these like demonic visions.
Yep. So much so that it drives a wedge between her and the sister group.
Yeah, so she ends up being lost on her own. After this, Sister Silva postpones Margaret's vows and tells her that she needs to stay away from Carlita. And then, is this when they put her in the bad room? Was this the first or I feel like there was something with the room, if I'm not mistaken.
That's later on. They put
Okay.
Margaret into the bad room later on, but this is where we meet, where she spots Paulo again that night.
Oh yeah, so
she's walking down the street, and I fucking love this scene. He is horrified of her, and
scared, like something happened.
We don't know what happened, and I love the fact that they only show us glimpses during the disco scene, and it's not till the end that we can piece everything together. But he looks horrified at her, and he tells her, "Look for the mark." He's standing in the middle of the road, and then an oncoming truck fucking impales him just out of nowhere.
Yeah, this was effective because I did not expect the truck to come and hit him.
Me neither.
And then he says something. He's trying to say something to her, and I think this is where she has this vision. Has the vision and the memory kind of thing, and she's like holding him. And this scene is crazy because
she lifts him up to try to get him, and just fucking rips his body in half.
And it comes up, and it cuts to the people in the crowd,
and they're terrified.
And as soon as I was like, "Oh, she pulled him off," I was like, oh shit! And then they show
Yep.
and she's holding his body. She lays it down.
Dude, the gore effects are awesome.
Yeah, the gore is real good. It's done really well. Yeah, I think it was effective scare. It definitely came out of nowhere.
It definitely was. This might be my favorite scare scene in the movie, just because it has a mix of unexpectedness from the truck hitting, a little bit of mystery because you're wondering why Paulo is so scared, and the gore when she pulls that body up, it's fucking nasty.
Yeah, it's gross. So then Margaret sneaking into Sister Silva's office. She finds a hidden underground chamber with some files, all labeled. I think it's Shiana or Siana.
Siana.
And each file has a photo of a disfigured female baby with a birthmark.
This scene is great too because it shows how many times they attempted this.
Yeah, and this is the first, and we'll see this is the first time that it's worked. But yeah, and they're all like really all messed up, disfigured children, and they're all, I believe they're all female, which is not what they're looking for.
Yeah, they're looking for a male.
Yeah, so the wait, I just feel like I just lost myself.
So yeah, they find the disfigured baby with a birthmark in the shape of 3 6s, with Carlita as seemingly the only survivor. She is interrupted and spots the mark on Carlita's palate before being imprisoned.
All right, so this is where they put her in the bedroom, and then Father Gabriel, who is played by, hold on, I have it right here, Tofek Barham. He's kind of someone who is a friend in the church. He frees her, and they look at the files. That one of the babies survives, and then Margaret is when she kind of like has the realization of what's going on. She remembers Paulo saying, "Look for the mark," and she feels on her head and
this is such a good scene.
Scalp, you find the 6s in her head. So
and you realize that she's the other baby that survived.
And I think they had mentioned like that she doesn't really have a family. She doesn't have any like background. She's kind of been an orphan. And so yeah, find out that she is one of the children, one of the children that survived. And then she starts to remember that she was impregnated in a satanic ritual. That's when you start seeing the flashbacks of. It looks like they forced Paulo to perform this. To perform something. He had something where they got him involved, and this is when we start seeing the demon. And the demon looks actually pretty cool. I was getting Rosemary's Baby vibes.
Yes.
With that, because that impregnation scene kind of has that same feel where it's like it doesn't show you the demon completely, but you get glimpses of it, and it's scaly and gross. But like I said, you only see pieces of it, so you don't have to completely do like some CGI demon, which is afraid of. Is like you don't need to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't do that.
Yeah, like not having some CG demon, just have some makeup effects, real quick cuts, dark shadows, and it worked completely. It worked really well. That night she blacked out the disco. They ended up taking her, and I think they realized that the devil needed to, in order for the Antichrist, that the devil would have to impregnate one of his offspring.
Oh, which is so weird.
Which is gross. Yeah, it's very. But yeah, that's what he has to do. So he ends up impregnating her. And they brought Margaret because Carlita was too young. Carlita was not of age, which is like, okay, well, it's nice that y'all thought of that, I guess. But the rest of it's still gross.
But yeah, that's the one line where like, okay, at least you didn't go over that line.
Yeah. So I'm glad the devil's not a pedophile, but he's definitely he's definitely got some. He's very ancestral. But yeah, and also, they drive off to try and have the pregnancy aborted, but then a car crashes into theirs.
I did not expect the car to come. I
No,
love the vehicles in this movie are done really well because you never see them coming.
no, yeah, and like you're not even thinking about it; it just kind of happen. And it's such a shock when it does happen.
Yeah.
And then we realize that Margaret is now suddenly very, very pregnant. Very have a baby. So she wakes up, she's strapped to the hospital bed, and Cardinal Lawrence comes in and he's outing himself as the head of the conspiracy. And also, this is when we find out that we see Luce there. Luce is also involved, and she was the one that took her to the disco for that reason to be able to perform the ritual. So she ends up having the baby. She gives birth to the babies. They give. She ends up having a C-section. She has a boy and a girl. So this is the one this is change, I guess, from the original, is that we have twins in this. We don't just being born. We have Damien and the little girl also being born. So that's the little twist that they put on it, which didn't hate. It's not like super original, I don't think, but it's definitely different from the original. And they're gonna kill the girl, and the boy is gonna become the Antichrist. She ends up stabbing Lawrence, and she's supposed to. It looks like she's about to kill Damien. She doesn't. She chooses not to. She has that motherly.
You could have ended this whole franchise.
Yeah, franchise. But like at the same time, like I kind of like you get it, especially like as a parent, like that's that would be a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Even if you know that the baby is the Antichrist, it's like maybe I'll just raise him right.
Maybe I can change him.
Yeah. Luz ends up stabs Margaret, and all the conspirators escape with Damien, and set the church and set the hospital on fire, and the place to cover up their tracks, to cover up the fact that they have given birth and created the Antichrist. Carlita saves Margaret and the daughter, and this is when Margaret sees, and this
the
is
jackal.
When they say, yeah, this is when we find out, or they said earlier the jackal, but this is when we get
which is also the big twist in the original Omen, is that he comes from a jackal instead of what we assumed was going to be just the regular devil.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you see him in the fire.
Really good effects.
Yeah, and it looks really good. We cut to the church giving the baby, giving Damien to an American diplomat, Robert Thorne, which is
I believe is the family that Damien ends up with in the original Omen.
I was just about to ask that. That's a cool Easter egg too. And then it cuts.
Let me check that just to be sure, because it has been a while since I've seen the first Omen movie. So let me make sure that's right.
So then we cut years later. Margaret and Carlita and
Robert Thorne, played by Gregory Peck in the original movie.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, there's the connection to the original. We cut to Margaret living in the mountains with Carlita and the baby. And Brennan comes to the door and warns them that they are hunting her and that the son has been named Damien. That's where the movie ends.
I freaking love this movie, man. I think it might be up there in my top 10 of horror movies of the year.
So it definitely has me, like, especially like talking about it again now, like I am kind of interested to see where this would go. How would you include this daughter? This seems like kind of like family dynamic that they're gonna have, but she might also have feel like she has this kind of
responsibility
to take out Damien, but at the same time, like that's your son. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I mean, it sounds like it doesn't step on the toes of the original, which is kind of cool and rare.
This felt a lot like the movie Prey that came out 2022. Not because it's like a predator versus
yeah.
Because what Prey does very well is that it doesn't step on the toes of the original movies. It stands alone, but we learn more about what the Predators are,
Yeah.
and we learn a lot about what they could be in the future. But it doesn't mess up any timelines.
Yeah. It's kind of able to have this separate story while
Hmm.
also building on the universe, and that's kind of what this did. It kind of built on this universe that I don't even know of, but now like I do want to watch the original and be like, like I guess it because
What
that
what
is
ties in?
equal to this film would be the original Omen, and
And
like
I'm
how
also curious what I'm also curious because there are a lot of new horror fans. I'm curious if they watched the first Omen, like this movie first, and then went back and watched the original one. If they have a different experience than me, who I have watched the original, I actually liked the original, and then I watched this one knowing it was a prequel.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm interested too to see how that went, and I want to watch the original because I want to see like how watching it, knowing I guess knowing the information that he's got a sister and his
Hmm.
mom are out there kind of hunting him, like knowing the background of also like what I know is a classic that I just need to watch, which I'll probably
Yeah.
watch. But yeah, that's the end of the movie, man, and I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's something where I was like, I
By the
don't.
way, Father Brennan is a character from the original movie, from the original
Oh,
Omen movie,
and I
played
want to
by
watch the.
Patrick Thornton.
Yeah, I want to watch the original now to see like pick up on the things that from this one. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I gave it on Letterboxd. Where it's like I enjoyed it, I had fun with it. Not sure if I'll ever go back to it, but if they do like do some sequels, like a sequel or go kind of sorry, kind of like build on this, that would be something I'd be interested in, and it might actually pick up my rating because if you can kind of nail that sequel and keep me invested because I enjoyed it. I would be let me get her name one more time. Neo Tiger Free. I would love to see her again because I think she's the star of this film. Like she's the
Oh,
best part of the
yeah.
film. It's not the scares. It's not the tone. It's not a lot of the things that I like the imagery, but it's definitely the she's what pushes this film forward. Like without her, this movie is it's probably like a 2.5 out of 5 for me.
Wow.
But because of the performance, it
Mhm.
builds like that much. It gives that much to the film. So yeah, I
So
enjoyed it.
I think I haven't done a Letterboxd review. I'm gonna do that tonight along with the other one, but I would probably give this like 3.5. I think it may be pushing 4 because of how much I love her
Mhm.
performance. I like the movie as a whole. Like I think I really like religion based horror movies and what they can do with religion and the Bible and this kind of back and forth of like the Antichrist and God and what is religion. I like that stuff. I like thinking about different religions and you know what are they thinking of, and I think that really ties in great with horror movies because the Bible and things and different religions do have this kind of horror element to them, like naturally. I mean,
Mhm.
it's about punishment and things like that, and using that imagery in a horror movie is brilliant, and I think this movie does it really well.
Yeah, I mean, like, who's not afraid of the devil? Who's not afraid of like the
Yeah.
idea that there is a hell and that there is this possibility of at least with this movie, like a possibility of an
Hmm.
antichrist. Like that's for anyone who is religious or not even religious, but just like grew up around it. Like that's always scary. That's kind of universally like scary, and so that's why I think religious horror films, like if done correctly, can work. And if you just enjoy that, you can
Hmm.
find joy in most like uh, exorcism films or whatever. Like I like
Yep.
most possession films and most like demonic films, like where there's a demon or something. I'm usually a big fan of those. So this is right in my wheelhouse. I did enjoy it. I know I found it sound like I don't because of 3, but like a 3 for me, it's a good score for me. Like I'm very very picky. But let's go ahead and go to the Rotten Tomatoes. We have the Rotten Tomatoes scores, and for the tomato meter score, it is percent, and the audience score is 70%. So it's not like it's a gap, but not a big gap. It's not very divisive. Most people are enjoying this film. I
agree. It's perfectly rated.
I think I'm more in line with the audience score, where it's like 70 is like sounds about good. That's kind of where I'm at. But so I would say maybe a little overrated in the tomato meter, but the audience got it right for sure.
So see, I'm the opposite. I think it's underrated in the audience, and I think it's perfectly rated for the critics. I really like this movie, like especially talking more about it. I think I liked it more after we talked about it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what I think about it on a rewatch, possibly. I might like it a little more because I think
probably especially after watching the original Omen and going back to it, I think you may like it more.
Yeah, see, so my score can change. My scores change all the
time. Same.
But until then, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Sinister's Horror Stash. You want to go ahead and plug your stuff, man? There's a lot of stuff coming happening on the channel.
There is. So yeah, guys, if you did enjoy this, please hit that like button, subscribe to Welcome to Primetime. We have the podcast coming out almost every week. We've got this one coming out every week. We've got brackets coming back. We've got so much stuff on the channel. I just recorded an episode, a live stream of horror headlines for myself and John Marr. We talk about horror movie news. So if you're interested in that, go over there and talk with us on that. We are live every Thursday. We're live on his TikTok, on my YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're live everywhere every Thursday. So yeah, guys, a lot going on the channel. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Absolutely. Also, if you leave a like on the video, comment what you thought of the film. And also, if you have any films that you guys want us to do, that'd be cool too. Throw in some suggestions down there in the comments. But
exactly.
Yeah, you can find me on right here on my letterbox. You have it right there. It's Sinister27, spelled SYNY. That's where I post. I don't really leave reviews, but I do. You see what I'm watching. I put everything on there as soon as I watch it, so you can see.
I also have a letterbox as well, NEN98. I actually do like long form reviews on there.
See, so go check that out also, and then also on my Twitter, it's Alec Miller 0423. You'll see me there. Mostly talking wrestling over there, but if you want to see the movies, it's all on Letterboxd. So, peace out, guys.
All right, guys, stay scared.